And we are live on YouTube. Okay, thank you.
All right, I think we're good to go. All right, welcome everyone. This is Tuesday, January 19th. It's 3 p.m. and I'm calling to order the meeting of the Lincoln County Board of Commissioners. This is a virtual meeting, and our first item is to confirm a quorum. We have all three commissioners present. Well, we have a quorum. Next item is recognition and proclamations. We're going back to trying to recognize employees on the 5-year anniversary of their service to our county and our citizens. And so we have several to recognize today. I have asked that they be invited to attend virtually. And sadly, I'm not sure who is in attendance, although I see some people that look like they might be. So I'll start at the bottom with Amber Gross from Health and Human Services. She's been with our county 5 years. If I think I see an AG. Would that be you, Amber?
Yes, it is me.
All right. Well, thank you for your service. Joshua Bacher, Planning and Development Department, 5 years of service. Joshua, are you there? I think I see Joshua, but anyhow, thank you for your service to our county, Joshua. Nicole Kendall from our Personnel Department, also for 5 years. Nicole, are you out there? I think I see you.
I am.
All right. Well, thank you for your dedication and service to our residents and the people of our county.
Thank you.
Joshua Bighill from the Sheriff's Office, 15 years. Now we're getting up into a little more tenure. Joshua, are you out there? I think I see what could be Joshua. All right. Well, again, thank you for your service to our county. 20 years in community justice, Rob Eoff.
Yeah, I'm here.
Rob, thank you. Appreciate your dedication to our people in our county. Thank you.
Yeah, you're welcome.
Also, 20 years of service, Marie Gaynor in the Sheriff's Office. Marie, are you out there?
She couldn't be here today, Commissioner.
All right, thank you, Sheriff. And 40 years, Al Ames in the Planning and Development Department. I don't know if you're out there, Al, but you must have started when you were awfully young. That's all I can say. And again, thank you all to your service and hard work on behalf of our county. All right, we'll move on to the adoption of the consent calendar. These are items of a routine nature or items that have, oh, let me back up. Those individuals will be receiving a signed certificate. They're actually signed by each of the commissioners using a real pen, nothing digitally, and also a lapel pin recognizing the years of service. So again, thank you. All right, we'll now move on to the adoption of the consent calendar. These are items of a routine nature or items that have come before the Board of Commissioners before. If there is any item that commissioners or staff wish to highlight, you may do so now. Otherwise, I'll entertain a motion for approval.
Chair Hunt, I would move for approval of the consent calendar as presented.
And I will second that motion.
All those in favor say aye. Aye.
Aye.
Aye.
Okay, that motion passes. We've adopted the consent calendar. Moving on. Next item, if we can get the agenda scrolled down, we have two decision items. The first one is an order authorizing the memorandum of understanding with the city of Newport regarding the animal shelter facility relocation process. Council Belmont.
Good afternoon, Chair Hunt and Commissioners, and thank you. I'm really pleased to be able to discuss the continuation of a process we began some time ago and looking at a new site for the Lincoln County Animal Shelter Facility. We've been having discussions with the city of Newport about a potential location on the south side of the Newport Airport. Things got a little bit sidetracked, obviously, with various crises that we had to deal with over the course of the last few months, but we're ready to get this thing back on track. And the first step in doing so is to undertake this memorandum of understanding with the city. I've been working with city staff, and they've been working with the council in terms of what that process needs to look like, and some steps we can go forward to make decisions as we go along to see if this is going to be the site that we actually ultimately relocate the animal shelter to. So the order would authorize the chair to execute this particular memorandum of understanding. I'm taking it to the city council tonight, actually, at their meeting to get formal approval from the city council. The terms of the memorandum, or the order that authorizes the memorandum, would allow us to make slight changes, because obviously they need to go through a process to determine if they want to make any slight changes in this. But this would allow us to review any proposed changes and then authorize the chair to execute that if it follows substantially in the form of the MOU that I provided to you. So this memorandum really identifies a few key terms, and I want to talk about it. First, it identifies that the site we're looking at is approximately 5 acres, plus or minus some of that. We have to look at the condition of the property. We have to determine some final boundaries. This would set forth the process to do that. This is, again, the location where we put the animal shelter facility. Given its size and location, we feel like we can build a facility, but also have room for expansion if that's what we desire sometime in the future. Also, it'll be the amenities that go along with the shelter. Some of the things that we haven't been able to do as well at the current site that we should be able to do at this location, which includes, and is not limited to, dog runs, exercise areas, possibly some larger areas for animal corrals. We saw a real need for that when we dealt with the response to the Ecomont complex fire and the need for providing those on a temporary basis. Some pet adoption amenities, those kinds of things. So those might be incorporated directly into the shelter facility itself, or things that could use additional property around the area that we're looking at. We also have requested, and the city at this point, the city staff has said that they're amenable to looking at the idea of some additional storage in this area. And that would be storage, obviously, for the animal shelter that we'll need for various things that they use and have, but also broader storage for the county as a whole. And as you well know, I've used the saying numerous times over the years that space is the final frontier in Lincoln County, and especially storage space. And it's something that we think we can actually utilize this particular site as something that will serve needs of the county as a whole. And then I've offered up to talk to the city about some of their storage needs too as part of this particular project. This would be a lease arrangement. The way that the city actually owns this property and the way it's tied up with the airport master plan, they will not be selling us the property, but rather we would enter into a long-term lease. So the terms of that particular lease will have to be developed. I did express our desire. Our desire would be to purchase the property. And if there's a way to do that, either now or in the future, that still is would be our first choice for this particular property. But if that's not the case, then we do understand that we'd be looking into a long-term lease arrangement. And we do need to set a price of that. And that price needs to reflect both the fair market value that the city would like to see for use of the property, but also the fact that we are a public service and that we are serving the entire community, and both parties support the activities that are being undertaken at this particular location. This will require that we obtain a conditional use permit because it is adjacent to the airport. We have to adhere to the airport master plan. We understand what that process entails. We've already begun the activities necessary to put forward a conditional use permit application. And then, of course, the city wants to undertake its own analysis of the lease terms, and that's just something that'll be their responsibility to do. So those are the key components of this MOU to move forward. And again, we'll reach a number of decision points here and come back to you and say, this looks like a go. Are you ready to go forward? And get your blessing before we move forward to the next steps. I have included in this what I think is a very aggressive time frame, but with something that we think is doable. And so you see each of those activities in term G of the draft MOU sets out the timeframes for when we'll have things accomplished and which party actually is responsible for accomplishing that. And at least internally with our staff, I've talked to the necessary people in the week to accomplish the things we need to do and make sure that they're aware of what we need to do to go forward with this. Again, this is a memorandum of understanding, so it's not a firm commitment. That'll be left up to the specific details of the arrangements that we actually enter into to finalize this particular agreement, if this is the direction everybody desires to go in. And so things will continue to give you updates periodically as things move forward. But I'm really excited to have this thing finally come around to the point where we can kind of get it off of center where it is right now and move forward. So with that, I'd be happy to answer any questions anybody has.
Commissioner Hall, any questions?
Not really, just I think to rephrase or underscore what you've said, Mr. Belmont, that this MOU really does not spell out any of the specific terms like length of lease, price of lease, exact acreage that we would be acquiring a leasehold on. But this is simply kind of setting out a timeline and a process for us to negotiate all these things with the city, correct?
That is correct. It provides that framework for the process to move this forward.
Okay, makes sense. Thank you.
Commissioner Jacobson.
Thank you. I'm just really happy to see this moving forward. I know we've had delays and certainly understand that. Glad we're moving it forward. I would also say beyond this particular piece and then starting that negotiation process with the city, where are we maybe on the additional next step of kind of working on hiring a contractor, or once we have this in place, is that sort of the next step?
Actually, and so that's a good point. And that's again, in that paragraph G, you'll see that we're actually going to be doing some of these activities in parallel. So we need to actually hire the consultant. That's one of the very first things we will do to help us with putting together the application for the conditional use permit, because that does require actually that we have appropriate drawings for the application. So we're going to be doing that planning process at the same time that we're doing some of these other activities around putting together the lease arrangement. So all those things work kind of in tandem, going together, and we move step by step by step. But we're not going to try and hold up the process waiting for some of these things. We're going to move forward on several fronts all at once.
Great, thank you.
Couple of questions, Counselor. Number one, I believe the county has authorized borrowings to finance the construction of the animal shelter.
Yes, we have identified and received the monies that we have allocated for the construction of this project.
And then I'll just make a note that one of my pet peeves is paper storage, and continue to push the county toward digital storage, but there are unfortunately large volumes of paper documents that were more or less required under law to keep. So storage is the last frontier. Anything else from any commissioners before we move on? Or do we need an approval, authorizing the memorandum, which again, for clarification, would give the chair the authority to execute the memorandum, recognizing that there may be some minor adjustments after meeting with the Newport City Council. Is that correct, Councilor?
That is correct, and there's actually an order to that effect that's in your packet today.
I'll entertain a motion.
Sorry about that. I was muted. I will make a motion that we authorize a memorandum of understanding with the city of Newport regarding our animal shelter facility relocation process.
And I will second the motion.
Any other discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
That motion carries. All right, we're starting toward the construction of our animal shelter. Next item would be letter of support for the Oregon Coast Small Business Development Center. I think many of you know I have been a very strong advocate of this service. As a banker, frequently I referred customers to the Small Business Development Center. I think I've seen at least two, I'm pretty sure three different directors, and I see that Dave Price is currently joining us, or has been with us from the beginning. And I know that the funding is in jeopardy, and certainly I think a letter of support would be warranted by our board. But Dave, I'll turn it over to you unless Council Belmont has anything else to add.
No, just that what I would like to suggest is we do have a draft letter in your materials here. And the only thing, as I was looking at that, the only thing I would suggest is that we maybe expand who that's sent to. Right now it's addressed to the governor. But I think we ought to make sure that it's sent to our local delegation and possibly so that some other members of the Ways and Means Committee, so we can expand the reach of who actually received this letter. That would be my only suggested change in the letter.
Okay, thank you. To you, Dave.
Thank you, Commissioner Hunt and commissioners and Wayne. I appreciate this opportunity. I won't take much time. I just want to thank you for the hearing and for this hearing, I should say, and for the letter if you decide to do that. We're in no means, I mean, the last place I'd like to be right now is drafting the governor's proposed budget. It is a tough year and there's so many uncertainties out there. I can't fault anyone for looking everywhere to make these tough decisions. I just believe when I look across the network, across the state and here in Lincoln County, the volume of work that the SBDCs have done corner to corner of the state this past year is just phenomenal. It blew all of our records out of the water in terms of client service, and no one really knows what this coming year, much less the years after that, will bring. And I just don't know that. I feel like we'd be tying some hands behind our backs if we were to cut the budget to the extent that it's proposed in the first draft of this. The governor's proposed budget showed a cut of around 60% to the network, and it's unsure whether that would lead to closing some centers in rural Oregon. I don't believe it would close ours, but it could curtail services no matter how you slice it. And that's just an area that I would really not want to go down. You know what I'm saying? That's a place I'd rather not go. And again, I would never say that these are easy decisions at the state level. Just we're hoping that given time and getting folks' attention, that maybe there's other ways we can make this budget work, and your letter would be greatly appreciated.
Questions, comments? We'll start with Commissioner Jacobson.
Slightly off topic, but I'm hoping Commissioner Hunt will allow it. I just wanted to say a big, I think I sent you an email to say this, but just public recognition, a big hearty thank you to all the help you were with our staff, helping our small businesses get applications in and reviewing those applications for the business funding that recently came through the state of Oregon when we had the 2-week freeze. That was a tremendous lift in a very short period of time with a looming deadline of the end of the year. And I just don't think we could have done it without you and helping to get the word out and helping people actually get their applications in. So just a big thank you for that.
Well said. Commissioner Hall. You're muted, ma'am.
Yes, was having a little trouble unmuting, but Dave, can you hear me now?
Yep.
Okay, Dave, just can you give us an idea, you know, I don't know, at least in big picture terms, how the OCC Small Business Development Center is financially supported? I know we make an annual contribution to support you. Obviously, you've got support of the college, but you know, the state funding, how big a share is that of your budget? Just maybe to help us understand the potential impact if a cut happens at this level.
Thanks for that. That's a really good question. The pie is sliced up. The piece of pie we're talking about is our largest, unfortunately. Roughly $80,000 a year to our budget comes from Business Oregon, which is this piece. And there's another $30,000 that comes from the Small Business Administration. Those are federal dollars. That amount has really been unchanged since 1985. It's just the funding that is distributed to, and I mean that sincerely, that number has not changed in 30 years. Then there's general fund from the college. That support varies year by year, basically to fill all the gaps. There's generous funding from the County of Lincoln County. You folks provide $30,000 a year. And then there is support from other communities in Lincoln County. Walport and Lincoln City in particular will support us on the program income side by basically saying, if you have a business, for example, in Lincoln City, any program you take at the SBDC that costs any money, and remember, anyone out there, you can take advantage of our free business advising with no obligation to buy anything. But if you chose to say take advantage of our small business management program, which is a year-long academic year program that retails for $900, the city of Lincoln City, and in some cases the city of Walport, will pick that tab up. So that support helps not just the SBDC, but it also helps the small business. But ever since the county stepped up and provided the local funding, we were able to take a position. Our small business management coordinator was a half-time position until the county provided $30,000 a year. That allowed that position to go full-time and has been ever since, and provides small business one-on-one advising in addition to, now we have probably the third largest SBM program in the state and the largest we've ever had this year, with more than 40 participants from corner to corner of the county.
All right, Dave, I know you know that I'm a big supporter, as I've said earlier, and I'm also an economist, and I'm a firm believer that small business is really the basis, or the root, if you will, of job growth in our county, in our state, and frankly in our economy. So many reasons to support the Small Business Development Center, and I certainly would be very much in favor of a letter of support for the funding, and we can broaden the distribution to those people that I think Council Belmont and you, Dave, feel appropriate, if my fellow commissioners are in agreement. In which case, I'll entertain a motion to provide a letter of support.
I'll make
I
a motion.
would.
Go ahead,
Go ahead.
Commissioner Hall. You
Oh, sorry. I'll move that we approve the proposed letter of support for Oregon Coast Small Business Development Center funding, with the inclusion of our local legislative delegation as recipients, along with members of Ways and Means, as well as the governor.
I might make a small friendly amendment if I could. I would just add my friendly amendment that we also CC that letter to all of the relevant cities within Lincoln County as well.
I'm happy to accept that proposed amendment.
And with that, I will second the motion.
All right, I think that's a nice touch. Any other discussion? All those in favor say aye. Aye.
Aye.
Aye.
That motion carries. And again, Dave, thank you. As Commissioner Jacobson said, I think you were part of some of the fastest bureaucratic decisions and process I've seen as a commissioner. So thank you.
Thank you very much, and thanks for having me here today.
All right, we'll move on. And we have a report from Cinda Bruce, our transit director, on the state transportation improvement plan. And then we'll get to Florence, who I know has a 4 o'clock meeting plan. So we haven't forgotten you, Florence, but Cinda, update us, please. You're muted. Your camera's on, but you're muted. Your microphone is flashing green and red. There's green. Whoop. Tell you what, why don't we go to Florence and maybe you can work, are you there now?
I still have no issue with Florence going first if she has a previous commitment.
Well, how long do you think you're gonna be?
Not very long.
Let's do Cinda while we got you.
Thank you. On January 7th and 14th, our statewide Transportation Improvement Fund Committee, otherwise known as the STIF Committee, met and ranked projects for the STIF project list for the 2021 to 2023 biennium. And I have forwarded you a copy of those projects. There are 13 in total, including program contingency and reserve. During the 1921 biennium, mostly because of the COVID, we were only able to implement 2 of our projects. So we had quite a carryover, and I do have those numbers if any of you have questions. But when we put our list together, we did that with the carryover in mind to ensure that any projects that we were moving forward would be sustainable with future funding. And if anybody has any questions about the list, or do you want me just to go through the list, or?
Why don't you highlight a couple of the major items?
Okay, we are looking at a low-income fare for our passengers, which would be a monthly pass. Right now, we have bus passes where you can purchase $41 passes for $30, and that's a 25% savings, and it sounds very reasonable. Unless you are, say, trying to get to work from Lincoln City or Yachats, say, 5 days a week, and then it can run into, you know, $160, or, you know, it can be cost prohibitive, depending on what area you're riding from. So my committee thought that it was very important that we not charge our low-income transportation disadvantaged residents out of being able to do the fundamentals like getting to work, which also has a positive impact on economic development. So I will be working with my board, with all of you, to determine a reasonable amount of a monthly pass. But the monthly coupon passes just can really be expensive for those low-income riders. Another expansion we're looking at is the school transportation. Before, we had students in grades 9 through 12 using their student body cards and being able to travel throughout Lincoln County. This program has been so successful that we really felt the need to expand on that a bit and offer our students grades 7 through 12. Many of our students now, it's not like middle school and high school the way it used to be in separate buildings like Lincoln City and some other cities. The grades are like 9 through 12. So it's kind of odd to allow some of them this service and some of them not. And the committee just felt that would be a real improvement for our community. We're also looking at expanding the Coast to Valley route by adding one midday route. It'll add about 4 hours a day to the route, and we'll make it so that if somebody goes over there, they don't have to wait till the end of the day to get back, or if they miss one of the trips back, they're not stuck over there overnight without a ride. So we're pleased with that one. We want to work on getting our bus stop signs up and installed throughout the county. That has really been a need. And with this one-time funding, that just seemed like a really good way to improve the service. And it's not something that we're going to have to put out every year. Doug will be happy to know that we have a pretty healthy program contingency and capital reserve in there. The capital reserves we can use to assist with match, or if a bus comes in a little more, it'll be able to be covered. Our program contingency and public transit, there are so many things that, say fuel costs. Fuel costs can go up and down, and it has a real drastic effect on a budget. So it gives us a little bit of a safety net there. We have a little money in here for match funds, $249,000 for each year of the biennium. But with those funds, I'm going to be able to draw down $1,617 in grant funds. So it's a pretty good bang for our buck.
All right, I think that's good, Cindy, unless you have something else in particular.
Most of the other projects are projects that were on our list last biennium, our East County expansion, South County expansion, adding Sunday service. So you've all heard about those. They're great projects. It's just with the COVID, we didn't feel it was the right time to implement.
Okay, very good. Questions or comments, Commissioner Hall?
No comments. Really looks like a wonderful list, and just continuing what Cinda has been doing for many years, gradually, steadily building the system, but always being very aware of the need to do it in a sustainable way. So I'm real pleased by this list.
Commissioner Jacobson.
Yeah, two comments. One is I'm just really glad to see the committee to want to expand the school transportation to grades 7 through 12 as opposed to just 9 through 12. I think there's a lot of 7th graders that have activities and sports and things like that. So I think that's really important. I will also say that when it first went to grades 9 through 12, though my daughter does not know you personally, I think she probably doesn't like you very much, because after that, mom's taxi service was severely diminished after the bus was available. So good service there. And then lastly, I just want to say, in terms of the signage that I know you're working on getting up, and I think some of it might already be up, but I would really like to see those signs be in both Spanish and in English.
Thank you.
All right, I would just say, Cinda, I think when you look at this list, it's comprehensive, but I also like it because it's broad and it addresses many issues as far as transit within the county, expanding service in north, south, and east areas, supporting low income school students. And you are right, I like the reserves, but also taking roughly $250,000 and converting it or matching it to gain over $1.5 million. That's pretty exciting too. So good work, a good report. I don't believe you need any action from the board at this time.
No, it will be on the consent calendar on the 25th.
Okay, I think we have a consensus to go forward with the list as it's presented.
Thank you so much.
All right, thank you, Cinda.
Thank you.
All right, we're to Lincoln County Public Health COVID-19 update. Florence, you got our attention.
Thank you all so very much. Florence Porta, Deputy Director of Public Health with Lincoln County. Okay, so we're going to cover two main topics, our kind of case counts and where we stand to date, and then our efforts towards vaccinating folks in the county. So as of this morning, we had a total of 998 cases in Lincoln County. So that's a lot, and at the same time, as you can see on the screen, I think our community is doing a really good job. We didn't really see the spike that we were expecting post holidays, which is good. And as you can see, there is a trending down. We're trending down since the beginning of the year, which is good too. Which means, can you scroll down, please? Thank you. And as you can see, we're about at the numbers for November, but we are past mid-month, and if we continue the way we are, we will likely end up with less cases than what we had in December, which is encouraging. Scroll down, please. No, I believe there's another chart before this. At the bottom of this page.
There we go.
Yeah, okay. So this is a Commissioner's chart, right? The case positivity rate. So as you can see, we went up a little bit at the beginning of January, and we're coming back down. Those could have been, the little pickup could have been linked to the testing events that we did at the end of 2020. You know, this is a measure that is really depending on how many tests are actually being performed, and how many people are coming back positive. But as you can see, the trend is been down for a week. You can go down. So we've done this one. So scroll back down. Thank you. So in terms of cases over the past few weeks, as you can see, we are trending down as already discussed. And so that means that our case rate per 100,000 people is also coming down, which confirms us into the high risk category. So unless we are seeing a dramatic increase in cases next week, we should be confident that we might stay in high risk. I'm hoping that we will keep on going down. We'll see, but I'm very encouraged by this data, and people seem to be doing a good job, and you know, keeping their distance, not gathering with too many people, wearing their mask, and washing their hands on a regular basis. You can scroll down. Thank you. So here's our numbers as of Saturday. As you can see, we received, and when I say we, is us as the Lincoln County community of vaccine providers, right? So the county has received 2,480 doses and has already administered 2,096 of them. We are expecting this week, after quite a tribulation, I would say. We were anticipating about 1,000 doses last week. And then we're told on Friday that those doses were not coming. And then finally we pushed and these doses are coming. So what we're able to do is receive 700 doses in public health on top of the 100 doses that we received today, I believe. And then Samaritan is routing 975 doses to our county as well. Scroll down, please. So with those doses, thank you. So this week we are we're doing quite a few things. We have 3 mass vaccination clinics happening on Wednesday, Thursday, and Friday. I'm very happy to report that the 1,296 slots available for those clinics have been filled. So we know that 1,296 doses are going to be given. The other piece that we know is that thanks to the great partnership we're having with Pike West Ambulance and North Lincoln Fire District and Newport Fire and everybody else, we're able to go vaccinate 3 long-term care facilities. So pretty much those long-term care facilities were signed up with the federal partnership program, and we were told that they could opt out of that program and vaccinate through their local effort, and they decided to do that. So we will be able to vaccinate Ocean View on Thursday, as well as Lakeview and Sea Air on Friday. And this is about 319 people, including staff and residents. And then out of all those vaccines, I believe we're going to have about 100 doses remaining. And I want to make sure that we, reach out to folks who are in phase 1A, in group homes, who cannot come to the vaccination events. And so we're working on facilitating some mobile clinics to go to them and vaccinate their residents on site. So it's been amazing to work with the community and our partners. And of course, our team is so resilient. I mean, it's been a year now that they've been breathing and living COVID. Then they went through the fire, and now we have to put on this gigantic logistic efforts and coordination efforts with the vaccination. So I just wanted to give them kudos because this is a lot of work and a lot of stress on everybody's shoulder. I think the coordination and collaboration with the partners in the community have been absolutely wonderful. And I told them on Friday that I thought it was really an example of the public health system at work. And I don't know if you know that picture, but it's pretty much a diagram of you have just the local public health authority, but then you have the hospitals and the school districts and all of the other entities that make and contribute to that public health system. And I think this is very much what's at work in Lincoln County today, and this is really amazing to be a part of. So I just wanted to mention that as well. So at this time, we had a call this morning with the state. We don't know how many more vaccines are coming our way. You know, I think the state went through a very big deception last week when they were told that they're going to receive more vaccines, and then all of a sudden realized, oh, hold on, like those vaccines, they're not even existing. So they are awaiting more guidance from DHS and HHS at federal level, and will let us know as soon as they do know. But I think with what we've been able to put in place in a short amount of time, and where we've been able to show what we're able to do, I'm gonna assume we're gonna be on one of those priority county, hopefully. because we've showed that we can deliver. So this is my report.
Thank you, Florence. Commissioners, questions or thoughts? Commissioner Hall.
Oh, Florence, thank you for a really encouraging report. I mean, it is nice to see the numbers continuing to trend downward. So I would join you in really thanking the majority of people in the community for doing the simple but important and right things to help contain spread of the virus, and also want to join you in applauding your entire team for gearing up and mobilizing to get these vaccines out so quickly to the priority populations. And, you know, this is something that you said last week, but I really think bears repeating. You know, I received an email this morning, and I noticed my colleagues were copied on it as well. Essentially, it began, I'm so bleeping mad at my county and state governments over the availability of vaccine. But people have to understand exactly what you said last week. We don't control the supply chain. The state doesn't control it. You know, we are dependent on the federal government, and when we have an awful incident like last week where we're promised vaccine and then told the supply doesn't exist, these are things out of our control. But our team of professionals, I just truly believe, have done an outstanding job, not only in, you know, dealing with all the logistical details, gearing up to do this level of vaccination so very quickly, but also being, you know, nimble enough to pivot, like, okay, we've got a plan in place based on the federal supply promise. Well, those supplies aren't coming, so you did a nice quick pivot, and good job, Paul. Thank you.
Thank you, Commissioner.
Commissioner Jacobson. You're muted.
I'm talking while muted. Okay. I guess the first thing I wanted to say is just to address your comment, and thanks to staff. I think I can speak on behalf of all three of us when I say there's just really no words to express the gratitude we have for public health staff this year. I feel like come hell or high water, our public health staff have been there. And on top of still managing COVID cases, they are now undertaking a huge vaccination effort where there's really no federal infrastructure in place to do this. So just my huge gratitude and thanks for them. Like I said, I really don't feel like words can express the thanks and gratitude that we have towards them. I would say I did not get the kind of mean-spirited email Commissioner Hall got this morning. Actually, and today I've received many positive emails from constituents, especially those in the 75 plus category that were able to get signed up this morning. So many people just very grateful, many people that called the call center, and while they did have to maybe wait to get their call through because it was very high volumes, said people were very generous with their time on the phone and very helpful. So a lot of happy people there. I will also say that in my dad's IT department, typically, and he is in the 75 plus, and I was able to use this system today to help him get signed up. And I thought the system was very easy for me to use, maybe not so much for him, but was able to get him signed up and scheduled. And so just the biggest, highest kudos possible. And I'm just so grateful that we have a system in place that, so when there is vaccines available, we can grab them and get them out to our community. So just a big thank you. The one question I do have, and you kind of touched on this, maybe we can go into a little more detail. I know that there were many people this morning that, you know, wanted to get signed up, but maybe just could not move fast enough, or just hearing about this now, and those appointments are gone. So if you are in that 75 plus category, and as you said, all those appointments are gone, what exactly does someone do? Do they just keep checking the web page or calling the call center back? Or do we know when we might know when we would get more vaccines in?
So thank you very much. Before I forget, I just wanted to say on top of the public health team, a big kudos to the emergency management team because they are so instrumental in lifting up and on the logistic front. So I just wanted to make sure that I didn't forget them. The other piece about availability of appointments. So yeah, that was so wild. This morning, I can tell you at 9 a.m., we were filled up at 30%. By 12, it was all filled up. So I think the best thing to do is a few things. Please do not call the call center because they can only help when we have slots available. So I would say be patient, check our website and our updates on a regular basis. The moment we know vaccines are coming, we will set up a clinic and a schedule and we will publicize it. At this time, though, I want to be very transparent. There is also a wait list that has been going for people. So the idea was this. So even though all those appointments, have been scheduled in the system, sometimes maybe somebody gets sick and cannot come or has to cancel at the last minute. And we do not want to waste any doses. So, and we wanted to make sure that we had people we can call right away to get in. So there is this wait list going on. I believe Susan just told me that she had opened 300 slots and they're already full. So we might keep on opening it, but we will not have 300, people not showing up to their appointment, I don't think. So I think the best thing to do, make sure you go to the website on a regular basis. We will communicate through various means, right? We are sending press release to the media. We are communicating on social media. We're communicating through the Board of Commissioners meeting. We're communicating through the PIO updates weekly. So we're really trying to put the words out so that people know what to expect. And like I say, I'm very committed to transparency in this process, and we'll put the information out there as soon as we have it. But as of this morning, when I asked, hey, when can we expect an allocation of vaccine and how many vaccines is that going to be, the state was unable to answer the question. And they're hoping that, with the change of administration and direction, they might get more clarity soon, but at this time they didn't have anything for us.
Okay, thank you. That's helpful. Just kind of tell people to watch. And the last question I have is and related to kind of transportation. If we have not just for 75 plus, so there's people in that category that may not be able to drive or what have you, but certainly as we keep going out into larger populations, we're going to be hit with transportation issues on getting people to these vaccines. Do we have plans, or are we looking at plans to maybe partner with Cinda, who was on earlier, to kind of make sure that people that maybe can't get to us, that we can get to them?
Yes, absolutely, Commissioner. So so as you know, we've set up a Department Operations Center to tackle the vaccination piece. And one of our, branch of operation is around outreach. And Amy Snyder is heading this, and she's really focusing on how do we outreach to folks who have barriers to access. And so I'll make sure to, I think she probably already thought of this, but I'll make sure to let her know to contact Cinda and to ensure that for phase 1B and 1C and 2, we have a very dialed in system in place and to make sure that people can get to the vaccination clinics.
Great, thank you.
You're welcome.
All right. I had the opportunity to participate in a phone call last week with the Oregon Health Authority and public health, the state public health officials, and a couple of things that came out of that meeting. Number one, as has already been discussed, the access to the vaccine that was promised from the federal level obviously never occurred, never existed. And of course, that created a real problem as far as availability of vaccine that could be distributed within the state. I also understood from that meeting that our state expects to get about 100,000 doses a week, but you need to remember that half of those are a second dose. So the reality is about 50,000 people in our state are, there are 50,000 vaccines for people in the state that would be receiving their first dose. So I think that creates, I think, a little bit of a better understanding of some of the challenges that we all face as far as distributing the vaccine. I will point out, and Florence, I wish Director Austin was on this call because, I know she couldn't be here today, but the state made a point of saying that those counties that have organized vaccine clinics and have put a strong process in place to be able to distribute the vaccine, or I think Director Allen's term was put the vaccine in arms, we're more likely to get a distribution of vaccines. And I think the fact that we were able to get 700 reflects the good job that you've done, Florence, in putting together these clinics, developing strong partnerships with those other agencies in the county that can help distribute the vaccine. So again, I think that's some real concrete recognition of the good job that you've done. And then the last thing I'll say is I was spending a little bit of time over the weekend on some of the interactive maps at the Oregon Health Authority website. And if you click on a number of different counties and look at the number of cases, regardless, with the exception of the clear, very large metropolitan areas, regardless of the county and where it's located, the number of cases that Lincoln County has reported is relatively low, just generally, regardless of how many citizens we have, what our population is. So again, I think that's concrete evidence of the fact that we have been effective in trying to manage the spread of the disease. So again, good work and thank you. And I know you have a meeting in 2 minutes, but if there are any other comments from commissioners? Otherwise, thank you, Florence. Keep up the good work and good luck with the rest of your afternoon.
Thank you. I'm headed to the fairgrounds.
All right. Which is where we're having the clinic.
Yes.
All right. Thank you.
Bye.
All right. Next item on our agenda would be an Echo Mountain Complex fire update. I'm assuming that's Council Belmont.
Thank you, Chair Hunt, and a very quick update today. A couple of items. In a call this morning, I got confirmation from the representative from FEMA that they are moving forward. It looks like they were hoping to actually get the agreement signed today for the property that they're going to utilize for the direct housing mission. They are currently planning, as you may recall, we discussed that they were looking somewhere between 19 and 23 19 to 23 spaces that could be accommodated at this site. It looks like right now they're going to put 21 spaces in that site. That's a couple more than they actually have that they need immediately. But because that has fluctuated, we want to have more sites prepared and available. So that's moving forward. I'll give you more information as we get that in terms of when that'll actually be in place. The second thing was we confirmed that our request that commercial property be included in the cleanup that's being done by ODOT of the property, the debris cleanup. Commercial property is not going to be included in FEMA's funding. And I'm recommending, and we're ready to move forward with an appeal of that particular decision. So we'll keep you posted on that. We do understand that at least some other counties that were impacted by fire have gotten commercial properties included. We'll do some little research on that and find that out. So those are two key elements we want to move on now. I know that Roy Kenyon's on the call, and maybe he can give us an update on the debris cleanup activities, and then I'd be happy to answer any questions.
Okay, Roy.
This is Roy Kenyon, Lincoln County Public Works Director. As of right now, I think that we're still in that transition to getting started. There actually isn't any debris being removed yet, but all the plans are in the making and hoping to get that going here sometime soon. Because this is basically the state's project, you know, we're not, the county's not boots on the ground right now. We're kind of just fielding questions and trying to get the rest of the ROEs in, because that kind of basically dictates who gets debris moved and who doesn't. Paul Seitz is still vigorously working on that process, and they are still coming in. So other than that, really don't have too much to update on.
Okay, thank you. Questions or comments, Commissioner Hall?
No comments. I assume we're not going to be able to announce the new site for the direct housing mission until FEMA lets us know that the agreement is signed. But Mr. Belmont, can you confirm it is in the Lincoln City area, so it will be relatively, at least relatively close to the Panther Creek neighborhood?
Yes, I can confirm that.
Okay, great. Thank you. That's all I had.
Okay, thank you. Commissioner Jacobson.
Yeah, I guess the just one thing I wanted to add, and I generally try to keep it pretty positive, but I just have to say I am really upset about FEMA denying cleaning up commercial property, especially when they have, and that's essentially our RV park, especially when they have approved that in other counties. And they're also approving long-term rentals. They're cleaning up those, which are also business. So this makes absolutely zero sense to me. And while the state has said that they will clean up the trailer park, whether they get reimbursed or not, so thank you, state, for that, because that's the most important thing, is getting it cleaned up. Because we don't have that cost match from FEMA, it then gets moved to the back of the line and state prioritization. And that's a lot of people. It's a huge number of people that live in that facility. So I would say, while there's certainly the formal appeal process, which I would like us to do, and I know Council Belmont, you are working on that, I would say also, now that we have official word, if we can please all of us maybe reach out to our federal elected officials and get them pushing on that right now, while we go through the formal appeal process. Hopefully we can get it kind of moved along here and get them to the right choice.
All right, thank you, Commissioner Jacobson, and I would certainly second those comments. It's a real head scratcher when FEMA is providing those kind of services in other counties and yet fails to see the value in cleaning up the Salmon River Park, which is an ideal location to clean up and provide housing. So I certainly support, and I'm comfortable that Commissioner Hall support appealing the decision, reaching out to our congressional delegation, but it's a real head scratcher on that decision.
Yeah,
Anything
Mr. Chair,
Go ahead, Commissioner Hall.
I was just going to say, I'm totally on board on that, and it's certainly worth an appeal. After all, we weren't originally included in the direct housing mission. We formally appealed and also worked our informal contacts with the state congressional delegation, and that was reversed. So, you know, it's certainly worth trying again.
Agreed. All right, anything else on the fire update? All right, if not, we'll move to the Lincoln County Emergency Management Volunteers Year in Review, and that I'm sure will be presented by Jenny Damaris, our emergency manager, and Sam Buckley, the assistant emergency manager. So ladies, update us.
Commissioners, I'm not sure that they're actually on this call because they're both very involved. They are. They're both very involved. I didn't see them on the call.
Okay, well, I think I see an initial.
You should probably note that they're the logistics team for setting up the COVID vaccination process at the Commons. So I know that they've been involved all day long in that. So I was kind of surprised when we had this on here that they would be available today too. So I think what we'll do is just move that forward to another meeting.
Okay, we'll bring it back to another time. All right, truly one of the disadvantages of a virtual meeting, you see initials in front of you and you think it might be the person, but it's not. So
yeah.
All right, we'll bring that back, but again, they're certainly involved in critical activities right now relative to the vaccination process. So that's good. Commissioner reports. Commissioner Hall.
Nothing to report.
Commissioner Jacobson.
I will just say that I was up in Otis last week. I actually try to get up there every week and had a nice chat with some of the volunteers up there. They're trying to do some work to get people back up on their feet, and spent some time at the Salmon River Grange. They're still looking for donations of certain items and volunteers. So just a reminder out to people. They have their own Facebook page, and you can kind of look at, what needs they currently have, as well as volunteer needs. I would just say that I think people are just feeling a little forgotten about maybe. So just if we can all remember them, if the community can reach back out and check in and maybe help with some of those needs lists. And I think that would do a long way in kind of the morale of that community. And we also have our public health staff, their behavioral health up there, both working the core team, which actually comes into the Grange every week. We also have the mass event starting, so there is some more presence by the county being taken. But like I said, I think they could do a lot of good to hear from more of their friends and neighbors right now.
Okay, very good. And I'll just restate what I said earlier. When I participated in the call with with Paul Allen, the director of the Health Authority, State's Health Authority, it was very clear that because of the work that particularly Florence, but our public health department has done in conjunction with our other partners, the work that's been done, the groundwork that was laid was really an important factor. And one of the reasons that our county is benefiting from, well, it might be a reduced number of vaccines, we're certainly benefiting from more vaccines than we probably would have received without all that extra effort. So again, heartfelt thanks to all, and some positive results we're seeing, and will continue to be seen. All right, if there are no more commissioner reports, we'll go to public comment. I will apologize at last week's meeting. I failed to recognize public comment, but it is there nonetheless on our website. And Casey is now going to the public comment that we received in the last week. It is substantial. Certainly more than is being shown there, Casey.
Commissioners, can I step in for just a minute here? Because this relates to public comment too. And that is just to announce again that tomorrow night is our first workshop on short-term rental licensing program and potential changes to that program. That's where we've actually received a whole lot of public comments. So that's being actually incorporated into the process for tomorrow night. This will be our first attempt to use the Zoom platform so that we can do it to get some live input from people. And so we have, I think, over 80 people registered for that particular program, and a lot of the public comment was related to that. It is to the STR program. So if you go to the Lincoln County website, just Google Lincoln County, Oregon. On the left, you'll see short-term rental licensing. You click on that, and the information on the workshop, how to access it, how to watch the meeting if you want to, it'll be on a live feed on, or live streamed on YouTube. We are encouraging, I would like to note, we really are encouraging folks, while they'll have an opportunity to provide some input at the meeting, to also make sure that you give your public comment in writing. That's extremely helpful for us to get that public comment in writing, and the mechanism to do that is available. Casey actually has it on the screen right now.
Okay, and again, I saw at the bottom there, there's combined public input for the 18th and combined public input for the 19th. And I know it's been substantial. There are clearly some well-organized campaigns to send communication to commissioners, as well as get on record for the public meeting to be held tomorrow. And again, clarify, Council Belmont, do we think we'll have interactive ability at that meeting available?
You know me, with technology, we have been working very hard. This is our first attempt to use this particular platform. Casey's been working extremely hard to do that. We think we'll be able to do that. We'll do some presentations first, and then we'll receive public comment. Again, we have, I think, over 80 people signed up to register. So there will be some limitations on the amount of time you'll be able to do it, but we think we can actually receive that comment. We will be recording the meeting, and so it will be available for the commissioners to view. So bear with us. This is our first attempt trying that particular format to get the comment, but we think we can make it happen.
Yeah, please be aware that those that are interested in that meeting, the effort is there to have it interactive. And again, the substantial public input is on file for that meeting. So we'll be discussing this again, I know, in the future, and appreciate all the involvement of those that are interested in the short-term rental situation. So thank you. All right, we do have an executive session, so we will be recessing. I do not believe we'll be coming back to a public meeting, Council Belmont?
No, we will not, but this is a little bit, we haven't quite done this in this particular format here. So what we'll need to do is we'll need to, Casey, because this is an executive session to discuss labor negotiations pursuant to RS 192.660 subpart-2D. Normally we would clear the room of anybody before we begin. The way we're having to do that is virtually. So Casey, you'll need to stop the recording in a minute, as well as stop the live feed. And then could you make me the organizer? And those of you who are involved in this particular discussion, you know who you are, but I'll kind of review who's left in there. Then the rest of the folks, we'll see them next week.
All right, and with that, we will recess into executive session to discuss labor negotiations pursuant to ORS 192.660 parentheses 2 parentheses D. We will not be returning to public session. Our next Board of Commissioners meeting will be held on Monday, January 25th at 3 p.m. and it will be a virtual meeting. And with that, we are recessed.